We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence raided by the FBI. What are the details behind it? Why did it happen? How did it happen? And most importantly, what's the constitutionality of this? Now, to join us and to answer these questions, hopefully, is legal affairs editor for LibertyNation.com, Mr. Scott D. Cosenza, who also happens to be an excellent legal scholar and host of the amazing Uprising podcast. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Well, with an intro like that, how can we go wrong, Mark? Thank you so much.
Just don't let us down based on the intro. That's the key, right?
Fantastic. On that, I can promise right.
You. Try your best, Scott. So the first question I have to ask, this was unprecedented. I think that's accepted by just about everybody in politics and the media. And in fact, many of the left-leaning outlets that otherwise seem to be reveling in these events are also saying that it is unprecedented. So what happened here, Scott? How did the warrant get approved? How did it not have to go through President Joe Biden first? What's the deal?
Well, the president does not review warrant applications as any matter of course. Now, you might say that given the import of this one, he should have and could have, and I wouldn't quarrel with you there, but the president appoints his attorney general to basically go over these matters. And one would assume that Merrick Garland did approve the issuance of this warrant. If he didn't, that would be really quite shocking, because it is the issuance of a search warrant for the residence of a former president of the United States. You can't get around that, Mark. And it is, quite shocking. So whether it's shocking and justified or shocking and outrageous political, weaponization of the law enforcement remains to be seen.
Yeah, a lot of media outlets have put forward that it's a weaponization, but I think that's kind of too soon to tell, isn't it, Scott?
Well, unfortunately, the FBI has earned a history of, recently and in dealing with Donald Trump that can't be avoided when thinking about their actions. And of course, that's what Trump has claimed is what's going on. And there's a wall of silence on the other side. Even Andrew Cuomo, I think, came out and said that the president or the attorney general needs to be open with the American people and discuss what is going on here, because of the appearance that this may well be just some political vendetta settling rather than genuine attempt at law enforcement.
So let's check out the procedures here. Now, obviously, there's a certain procedure that the FBI have to follow if they want to get a search warrant. So what is that procedure, and would it be any different for a to serve it on a former president of the United States?
Well, to the second question, no, there's no difference. They don't hold some special status in that regard. A federal law enforcement officer wants a warrant to search something, they go before a federal judge or magistrate and submit a warrant application. And there are pre-printed warrant applications that and they have to list down what's the street address, what evidence is to be seized, what might be within that address that might hold the evidence, for instance. And so the Fourth Amendment describes the process that has to go through, that the evidence has to be described with particularity. They have to demonstrate with probable cause that, there's the crime and the evidence will be there. And then if they convince that judge, he signs off on it or she signs off on it, it becomes an order of the court. So in other words, if you ever read a search warrant, it says, by order of the court, FBI agents Smith and Angelides are to go to Smith and Wesson, Tango and Cash are to go with, to this address and to search for these items and then report that back to the court. So they actually get the items and then they have to issue a warrant return to the court that basically reports on what their endeavors were in searching. And that's sort of the process.
Okay, now you and I actually spoke about this earlier, Scott, but lawyers for Trump said that they were not permitted to be in the residence during the search. Now, we did discuss this earlier, and you said this is actually quite normal, right?
It's funny when you said that to me, I thought to myself for a moment, lawyers for Trump sounds like some large group of attorneys that are pro-Trump and have organized.
I believe it was
Yeah.
3 individual attorneys,
Right.
by the way.
You mean Donald Trump's lawyers? Yeah.
Yes.
No. The idea that would be a normal course of operation is not the case. Most search warrants are served without the not even knowledge of an attorney, much less their presence. But sometimes an attorney may be allowed to observe a search as it takes place, but there's no requirement of it, and it's not really surprising that that they weren't. I would assume that the videotape was probably rolling when they went through some kind of
Yeah,
body
according
cam.
to one of the lawyers on speaking on Fox News, I believe it was, they said that the FBI had asked for the video recording to be stopped at the time, which they refused to do.
Well, that's interesting. It's, one of the other kind of indignities of this whole thing is, of course, if there is video recording, it's of the president's of the former president's private residence. His
So
dressing room,
cheeseburger
his.
wrappers and cans of Coca-Cola.
Well, they said they went through Melania's wardrobe too, and while that's not, I mean, if there was a place capable of containing the evidence they were looking for, they should look there. They should look everywhere. But to think that that's now on video somewhere, and that there were maybe a dozen or three federal agents walking through your bedroom, that can't make anybody feel good at all.
Yeah, you explained in an article we did on libertynation.com about where and how they might search according to the warrant. So I think the analogy you made was if law enforcement is looking for a samurai sword, for example, they wouldn't be allowed to open a lunchbox because the lunchbox could not contain a samurai sword.
Well, that is right, and I would just make one minor correction, just to be finicky about the facts.
Lunchboxes are fair game.
No, that it's not what they're looking for. It's what the warrant authorizes.
Right.
So the warrant will say, "I authorize and order you to go to X address to search for, find, and recover a samurai sword," and it'll say, you usually have some language about vessels that that can be open and that kind of thing. But like you say, if there's a lunchbox, or more often, Mark, like a woman's purse, if you think about it that way, or a wallet, that kind of thing, where lots of evidence wouldn't be able to be contained in that.
One of the things that struck me, Scott, is when this story broke in the evening, was that the warrant was served to Mar-a-Lago, to Secret Service agents that were there, but not to President Trump himself. Now, is there a reason that they didn't wait for Donald Trump to be there, to be let into the premises?
Well, a warrant is a piece of paper, right? That's what the judge signs, and that is to be delivered to a human being who is lawfully occupying the property. So Donald Trump wasn't in Mar-a-Lago, therefore he would never have been served with a warrant, because the warrant should be in the hand of the officers leading the warrant service at the property itself, and would be handed to a person at the property. Now, in these kind of bigger cases, typically with an assistant U.S. attorney working with a esteemed criminal defense attorney, which is, I imagine, what we have going on here, you would expect that they would also fax a copy of the warrant to the guy's office, probably just as a professional courtesy. And the other thing is, I think that they probably waited for Trump to leave on purpose, because they didn't want to basically detain Donald Trump when police officers and federal law enforcement officers or local cops, when they execute a search warrant, the first thing they do is secure that premises that they're searching, and very often that involves frisking and cuffing the people who are living there. And you can imagine, even it would be even crazier, the whole story, if that happened to Donald Trump and his family. You think of Barron Trump being handcuffed while police patted him down to search this.
That would be the picture that launches a million online and print articles. We're going to take a short break now, but we'll be back with Scott DeCasenta discussing the further legal travails of President Donald J. Trump. Don't go anywhere. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fighting for freedom.
Daily tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.